first off, welcome to the show.
Hey, yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah. So where are you sitting? What state are you in?
I am in Massachusetts. So I'm in Salem, Massachusetts, which is about 25 minutes north of Boston.
And did you do the Exodus?
Oh, no. So I've been based in Boston for a while, previously a different company. But when I joined Microsoft, I joined based out of Boston.
And what's interesting is you still didn't do the Exodus. So you're still stuck in Boston.
Well, I moved out of Boston into Salem. So I moved 25 minutes north so I could get a 2-bedroom apartment and have an office and not lose my mind.
Oh my God, I love that. I did the San Francisco to Miami Exodus. That's what I did. So in September, I relocated. I said, you know what? I got family here, and if I can work anywhere, I picked Miami.
Yeah. Before I worked at Microsoft, I was working downtown Boston. So I was commuting into the city every single day. You know, very rare to work from home there. I was like arguing for it for a while and eventually got it so I could do it a couple days a week, just get more productive at home. And then when I moved to Microsoft, I'm on like a nationally distributed team. I mean, there's offices in Massachusetts that I can go to, but I work from home before the pandemic. But it's crazy how even after the pandemic, how much work has gotten so much worse from a remote perspective.
It's interesting you said that because I feel that there are some things that are good, meaning I love that I think there's more balance in the workforce now.
Mm-hmm.
I think there truly is work-life balance. I really do. If you have a good boss, a boss that understands empathy, I think you're in a winning spot. I still think people are getting work done.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you're living a better you. Like, look about how you moved. Like, this is all positive. Like,
yeah.
You're 100% living in a better spot.
So, I mean, I agree. So in some ways and disagree in others, right? So
Okay, yep.
For me, you know, I had a lot of the best parts about working remotely before. And I had, because my team was already remote, I already had managers who didn't micromanage. They didn't feel the need to like check in all the time. It was really like what you brought to the table and figure out how to sort your own time. So I was already working kind of like whatever hours felt natural to me. So yeah, moving out, I got a better apartment that has more space, and I definitely love that. But the pandemic part of remote working is not really, you know, I like to remind people, like, this is not what remote work is normally like, right? Like, I can't just go outside, right? So I just like in my house all the time. And that part, kind of the monotony of day 1, day 2, day 3, just over and over and over again, has really impacted me in my ability to like have like excitement about work sometimes, right? I still get excited about work, but just the monotony of life sort of because of COVID is a challenge, right?
Yeah. You know, what's interesting you say is that the remote work, if you and I are technologists, this kind of stuff is not new, what you and I are using. Teams, Zoom, WebEx, Skype. What I actually am impressed with as I get my camera on is how fast Microsoft is iterating on Teams. Teams is not the same product it was a year ago. But you're right. I mean, as bad as it was, think about how good Teams is now. No disrespect to Teams. But I was also on a call that I was told that like one of my buddies, this was like a year ago, like first quarter, you already made your quarter. Like it was something crazy like that it was like you already made your quarter first quarter.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm in the Azure side of things, right? So, you know, I have colleagues in the kind of Office 365 modern workplace space, but I don't like track the KPIs or anything like that. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, but yeah, Teams has gotten so good, right? Like the real-time transcriptions and like, you know, just everything that they're doing with it is, and what's really cool is I'm on early build. So I get features that are like coming out for everybody else in like 6 months.
Are you serious? Oh,
yeah.
That's sick.
So I get to see all the cool stuff.
Sick.
So I got to be careful what I say because I never know like which features are like everybody else has versus like which are just like special to me. But I do know that like, you know, real-time speech is in everybody's, right? And that thing is like my favorite. It really helps me keep track of the like, you know, the conversation. Like you zone out for a second, you know, your cat makes a noise or something. You look back, you can read what somebody said.
It's sick. I remember every like 2 weeks, it was like Zoom. I mean, Team now lets you have 50 people. Teams now lets you do multi-rooms. Teams now let you do breakout rooms. Teams now, it was like Teams now, like boom, boom, boom. I mean,
it's up to 1,000 now.
God. What? I mean, it's insane So you're on a team that also sees the early access features, which is incredible.
Well, not
and
my
now
team.
you're not going to be able to share those things with me.
Yeah.
But I was trying to say, what is like the process you can share? Meaning, have you seen things like be shipped in 2 weeks, or are you on some of the features that, or what you're seeing are like fourth quarter releases? Like where are you seeing some release schedules? Like teach us on a company that's so big versus a startup on releases.
Yeah, so the way I think about it, I can't talk too much about it, right? Because it's not it's not my area of expertise, and B, it's not my area to talk about. But what I will say is that one of the things that was the craziest about joining Microsoft is it's just this massive company where some of the coolest things, like so many of the coolest things in the world are happening, right? So you have like all the innovation in Teams, and now with like Project Viva, right? With the kind of employee experience category. But then you have like Project Natick, where they're like dropping like data centers into the ocean, right? To have underwater data centers. And then we have like Azure Space, and there's just like all this awesome innovation happening. And, with Microsoft doing like a lot of innovation with edge computing, right? In that space and hybrid cloud, you just see some really, really neat things, and you get a little bit more insight and faster, but it's still just like, it's happening by totally different people. But kind of the cool thing is like, I could just go into Teams and like, I see somebody's name on the internet and like type their name into Teams and then like ping them. Like theoretically, I could be like ping Guido Van Rossum right now, right? Like I'm not going to, but like I could, which is really, really neat.
It's incredible. It reminds me when I was just starting my career and I worked at an ad agency, and the ad agency would be an ad week. And I would come home to my wife and be like, I work with this guy, not really work with him, but like he sits like 10 desks away.
Yeah.
Like, and I see him if I go to the bathroom. Like, it's just, you get to these places where one day that wants to be me. So I totally understand that. That's incredible. But, and we are a community. And I think that's what's really important. And the reason why we started this community is because of self-isolation and that loneliness. And for me, speaking and meeting people is super important to me because we don't get to meet. How have you been doing in Boston? How has it been in the isolation? How have you gotten through some of the, I'm not going to say you're lonely, or just like the general loneliness of not being able to go
I know
out.
what you mean.
How have you stayed mentally strong?
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's a couple ways. I think there's everything about COVID has been a double-edged sword, right? So I think, there are some things I've realized I like a lot better. Like versus going to a networking event, right? And you kind of have a bunch of like million little tiny 5-minute kind of very superficial conversations. Say, this is my name, right? It does feel like when I do talk to new people, there's a better connection there because it's usually smaller groups, or it's a more focused conversation that people are self-selecting into versus just kind of showing up. And there's nothing wrong with like random, networking. I've made some really great friendships from random networking, but I do feel like I've made some great friendships by being able to like opt into certain communication channels. Now, it's not to say like I don't ever feel lonely or like wish I could hang out with my friends or something and get dinner. But my friends, we'll just hop on every once in a while. I have a core friend group like outside of Microsoft that I try to like get on a monthly call with at least, right? And we'll do random things. We'll either just hang out or we'll play a game or something like a video game or something. And that's just sort of how you have to make do. But I do like this notion of like kind of like opting into communication channels and being able to pick things up at your own speed. So I do feel like there's some things I hope carry over post-pandemic.
You said it in a very nice way. What I've said, and it's not the same, but I'm going to say it's just, I've said it in a different way, is what I like about my podcasts and very smaller rooms is that I'm locked in. Because, right, if you were and I were at a show, this would be me. I'm talking to you, Charles, but my eyes go this way. I got too much stimuli. Let me just check my email, right? So I'm locked in. Or if we're at a restaurant, look at my eyes. Can I get a bill? That friend just walked in. Give me a second. So as soon as I break contact with you, now you're like, okay, I'm going to go on my email. Or then we just lost. So I agree. Like the 20, 30 minutes, we are just, I feel it like as we are locked in. And I do with you. It's a nicer conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
And I also feel like my eye contact with people now is better. Because I'm like kind of looking at this dot.
Yeah.
It's like fake eye contact. Like you think I'm making great eye contact with you, but I'm like constantly focused on that button. It's awful. But I feel like I'm I'm a little bit more comfortable now with it. I don't know about you, your video presence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the best always at looking at the camera because I tend to like look at myself just because I get distracted by what's going on. So wherever I am, I tend to go down there a little bit. But you see on there's like a feature on like the Surface Pro X on Teams where it has like the eye correction. Have you seen that? So I really like that. It like uses AI to like move your eyes back. It's a really cool feature, and I want that to roll out to more devices. But I think it's just because the chipset in that is faster. So if you do it on a regular chipset, it'd be a challenge. But
that's so good. That is, I want that in my life of just like, oh, my glasses, like, come on, like back here.
Yeah.
No, and I feel that in addition to like that, the video presence, I also bought blue blocking eyeglasses, like reading glasses, because I've been on camera in meetings. And I'm also now trying to cut back camera time where I'm just on a voice only. So I'm still trying to learn my balance, because too much screen time, you just get tired, headaches, and drained. Yep. I don't know what the right balance is, but I think for me on Mondays, I have nothing on video on Mondays. I try to do everything just team wise on phone calls. So I think that has helped. Now, as far as Boston and the vaccines and getting back to work, how's it going out there or up there? Because I'm in Florida. How is it going?
Yes, I haven't really been keeping tabs. I know we're in phase 2 now, which is like 65 and up or 2 health conditions. So I don't know how like the actual rollout is going, because I'm not eligible for, I think it's probably phase 3 starts sometime in mid-April. So that's when I would be eligible. So I haven't really been paying attention just because, there's nothing I can do anyway. But yeah, I know at some point things have gotten pretty bad here. And we had a couple of times where cases went real high and hospitals were near capacity, especially at the beginning. And then there was during like kind of the third wave, things got kind of bad. I don't know how they are now, to be honest. But it's, I guess it'll happen when it happens.
I follow it. Yeah. I follow it in the sense just now I see in Florida, CVS is going to be able to be a vaccination center. That's new for Florida. I don't think there's going to be a lot of travel this year. So I'm always trying to see if Salesforce, Dreamforce, or the Microsoft events, if that's live, 2022, what that looks like. You can only do so much with virtual, and as much as you have these great speakers, I think it's hard to get people to attend a 5-day virtual meeting. I don't care how big the rooms are. So I think that's been interesting. And you get big names, but it doesn't matter how big the names are. People are just going to come in for like that 5 minutes, poured out. So I think that's going to be interesting. Have you been on Clubhouse or Discord? Are you connecting on new channels with people, or are you still on LinkedIn and listening to podcasts? What else have you tried?
I don't know what Clubhouse is. I keep hearing about it. I don't really know what it is. I use Discord, but not to meet new people. Usually a thing I'm part of, like if I'm a patron of some podcast or something, then I'll join the Discord. Or I have a couple friend groups that we use Discord for both chat and also when we, if we game or something. I haven't done a lot of new networking, and I think partially that's because at Microsoft I'm a little spoiled because it's such a huge company that there's always people to network with internally, and it feels like totally different people. Like you have no idea what they're doing. And the second thing is I'm in a customer-facing role, right? So I'm technically in our sales organization as a data scientist. So I'm constantly meeting new customers, right? Even at the same customer, I'm meeting totally new teams. So that's kind of how I've been doing networking, is just, me going in and talking about data science or collaborating on a project with a, data science team at a company, right? So I've been able to meet a lot of people that way. I haven't really made a lot of like new, just like generic data science connections, I guess, since the pandemic. And partially it's probably my fault. I haven't really tried.
So that's
so you're the first in a little while.
Well, and our network is data science. Yeah. Yep. So our network, I'm going to connect you with data science, and I don't know, some are at big companies, some are at startups, but it's just about building that community of empathetic, like-minded people. Like that's what we're trying to do. Is I think we're building something special in a time where there is loneliness. And like you said, phase 3, the world opens a little bit more. Maybe 2022, our community doesn't exist as we know it, right? Maybe we're here for this moment of time to give people enough connections so they can, like you said, opt into however they want to take it. And that's okay, right? No one is traveling. What else are we doing? I'm talking to you from a parking lot. What else is the world going on? Exactly. In Miami, that's what I say. Yeah. And as far as like when you're doing client-facing things now, you bring that up. Were you pre-COVID traveling to clients, or was it always travel, but you were remote? And how has that impacted?
So there was travel. It's not like a 4 or 5 kind of like, EY Accenture type of traveling. It's more like if there's a big event, like a big kickoff, right, to start a project, maybe I'll go down there, right, to either the client site or like
the
Microsoft MTC nearest the customer site, right? So we have like the Times Square MTC, Microsoft Technology Center. So I've been there a couple times, things like that. So some travel, and then of course going to like our internal conferences in Vegas and Seattle and stuff. But
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
not like a ton.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think there's days where I think it's going to be okay just to do port in on a kickoff. I can't speak on behalf of Microsoft, but I'm just saying for me, the longer we do this, the longer you get used to this.
Yeah.
Right. The longer you do this, the more installs and kickoffs, the more it's okay. And I think as both the person who you want to come and see for hours or going to be the guy going to present, I think it's nice if someone's like, you don't have to be here for 2 hours. Stay with your family.
Yep.
Let's do the Zoom. We'll go through the deck. If we have questions, we'll call you or we'll Slack you. We'll find you. So I think that's been super nice. We have a couple of young stage companies. Do you ever bring like new tech to your installs, or that's like a bad fit? You just bring Microsoft. So, because again, I'm trying to figure out who to connect you within our community. Mature companies that could be clients, or also younger tech companies that you want to look at just to see what's going on. I don't know. That's why I ask.
So I guess like in my like job and my daily responsibilities, maybe I can talk about that. Like, so we started a team right around the time I joined called the Enterprise Data Science Team. And the idea was basically, we realized the biggest barrier to customers using Azure for data science had nothing to do with Azure at all, and like everything to do with their own data science challenges, right? For one reason or another, whether it was talent, whether it was just like using the cloud for data science for the first time, whatever it was. So we decided, like, what if we just had Microsoft data scientists go do projects in the customer environment with the customer and just directly kick off like a new project, right? So in that sense, because of that, to get back to the question you asked,
that's smart.
We're mostly using Azure stuff, but that's a huge ecosystem. So we have a lot of things in there. And what I will generally lean more towards in terms of like third party is open source, because at Microsoft we like really embrace the open source stuff. I'm often using open source libraries in the context of like Azure machine learning and connecting to, at times connecting to those projects as well. I'm less likely to like bring like a fintech startup. That would be somebody else. Yeah. We have like a whole partners,
No, that's great. That's good for me to know who to connect with. Yeah, no, I think that's cool. So like you said, it helps me understand who to connect, right? And there's so many people using Azure. There's a lot that are not, that I'm sure are in the pipeline. So relationships, that's what a relationship is.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is fun. Well, if you come to Miami, you look me up. I don't think I'll be in Boston, at least but there are going to be a few data science people I'd love to connect you with. I connect everyone via LinkedIn. I hope that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I think they're connections, we do try to get together, which we're learning because we've got now like 13,000 community members. It's too big. So we never want to do a big, but I'm trying to figure out how to do monthly or quarterly 20% or 8% roundtables, right? Because I'm trying to keep things intimate so people can really build these connections if they want to. I love to opt into these conversations. So I'll keep you posted on when we do stuff like that. Or if I'll try to find like-minded Azure, like people using Azure, because then it's even more relevant. So I'll keep my eye out on those things. This was fun. Charles, thanks for being flexible. It was great to meet you. And there are going to be a few people I'm going to connect you with.
Okay. Yeah, no, sounds good.
And the show is sponsored by Pandio. Pandio does the leading and distributed messaging. So I want to thank Pandio for being our sponsor. We also produce the Microsoft Analytics podcast. So we do a lot with women in tech. So I'll send you a couple links to what
I actually know Laura Adele quite well.
I don't know if you followed Laura Adele.
I know her. She's on a team that's related in some vague sense to my team.
I just recorded an episode with her an hour ago. We do a lot of great work for Laura. She is absolutely brilliant, and her show is just killing it. So I will let her know that we were together on this podcast as well.
All right, yeah.
And if you speak to her, you tell her that Darren says hi, and we're so proud of her. All right.
All right.
Thanks, Charles. Thanks for being on the show.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks, Charles. You got it.